Ups, nee, so, einmal drücken noch. Jetzt hat, ja. Ja, hallo, herzlich willkommen. Der FC Bayern begrüßt Sie.
Good evening and welcome along to this Bayern Munich press conference on the eve of the Champions League final here in Lisbon against Paris Saint-Germain. First and foremost, we're joined by Joachim Kimmich, who is going to talk about his first impressions of this final, give his thoughts. So please raise your hand to ask the first question.
Da sehe ich David Verhoff von der Bild-Zeitung. Bitte schön.
Ja, hallo. Das ist ungewohnt, wahrscheinlich auch für dich, wenn wir hier mit dem...
Good evening, Joshua. It's unusual to be here with a mask on. How do you feel about this match? How have the last few days gone? How have you prepared for this final? We feel that there's a good mood in the camp and that you've prepared well for the game. Or am I mistaken? No, you're not mistaken. Just like for every Champions League game, we've prepared in the same fashion. There haven't been too many changes. We've had one day fewer in terms of preparation, but there's a great atmosphere. Everyone's very excited about the final. I've never personally been involved in a Champions League final, and that's why we are delighted to be here.
Marc Bärenbeck für Sky. David müsste erst einmal... Da bleibt erstmal. Ja, Marc.
Hört mich?
Ja.
Ah, wunderbar.
Joachim Kimmich, you have already won a lot of silverware in your career, but the Champions League is very special. It's something you dream about as a child. Every time you hear the Champions League anthem, it's very special. So what does it mean for you, this competition, the Champions League? You have the opportunity tomorrow night to lift the trophy. So if you compare that to your childhood dreams, what makes it so special? When you play at club level, there's no greater honour. And as a child, you're always very happy to watch the Champions League. Unfortunately, the competition has been played behind closed doors, but it's a huge opportunity that we really want to seize tomorrow night. The previous generation took a number of attempts to actually lift it. We want to do it from the first opportunity. We're going to give everything tomorrow night. The Champions League anthem really is magical when you're out there on the pitch, and we really feel that it is something special. It's wonderful to be involved in this competition, and at Bayern Munich, every year we have the opportunity to go very far in the competition, and this season we've managed to make it to the final. We want to go the distance. We want to lift the trophy.
Von der DPA.
Können Sie mich hören?
Jawohl.
Ah, wunderbar. Herr Kimmich, dieses Finale...
Yeah, sure, Kimmich. There are two extremely attacking sides facing one another in this final. A number of top-name players. What sort of match do you expect tomorrow night? And can you give absolutely everything tomorrow night? There are no international matches. Is it nice to have a break after the final? It must be exhausting, no? We expect a very even match. These are two top sides that deserve to be in the final. It ultimately wasn't our decision at international level. Had we made that decision. I think we would have liked to have joined up with the national team, but I think the Germany head coach has ultimately taken a long-term approach with that, because it's going to be very difficult indeed with 2 or 3 matches per week. And then we have the Champions League at the end of the season, and I'd really like to have a nice holiday if we win the competition tomorrow night.
From Le Figaro.
Bonjour, je voulais...
Hello. Once again. Ist gerade leider nicht mehr eingeloggt, sehe ich. Wir versuchen es gleich nochmal, ziehen dann vielleicht Florian Plettenberg vor.
We'll try again later because the line dropped.
Josua, sei gegrüßt. Hi.
Hi.
Josua, eine kurze Frage, und zwar morgen ist...
Joshua, a quick question from me. Tomorrow night it will be very important to see where you play, whether you'll be operating at right back from the start. I'd really like to know where you're going to play tomorrow night, even though you're not necessarily going to reveal it. And how do you prepare for a game? Can you talk to us about what Sunday will look like for Bayern Munich? Ultimately, every day is the same. It kicks off at 8 p.m, so it's an hour earlier. I think we've got a training session at 10:30 tomorrow morning. It's not necessarily a training session per se. It's just something to loosen up a little bit. Then we have lunch. We'll have a bit of a nap after lunch. And then ultimately we'll have a big meeting to talk about the game, and then we'll get prepared. But we're constantly preparing for this game indeed.
Informationsdienst, bitte.
Hallo, Herr Kimmich.
Hallo.
Vor 3
Good evening. 3 years ago, you were involved in the group stage against Paris Saint-Germain, 3-1 and 3-0 with the 2 scores. To what extent have you spoken about those 2 fixtures, and what did you learn from those 2 games? If I'm completely honest, that's not something we've necessarily spoken about. We haven't learned anything from that per se. The squad has changed a great deal since then. We've got a new head coach. The same goes for Paris Saint-Germain. I don't know if Thomas Tuchel was the head coach at that stage. Do you know? Either way, a number of things have changed in the meantime. And that's why I don't think it's necessarily a good comparison.
Der nächste ist Simon Evans von Reuters. Let's try it.
Hello, I have a question in English, if I may. If you do play in the position you played in the previous games, you'll be up against Mbappe, who's obviously a very difficult player to play against. And given you play this system with this high line, is there a risk against PSG with their pace? Do you have to maybe defend a little bit deeper, do you think, this time?
Auf Deutsch oder Englisch? Deutsch. Ja, also gegen Leipzig, da hat er eher Mbappé im Sturm gespielt und Neymar auf links, aber natürlich Geschwindigkeit haben sie überall in der Offensive und
But it might be Neymar and Mbappe on the right, but obviously they're very good going forward. But I don't think we're going to sit too deep by any means.
Holzner vom Kicker.
Hallo Josef, servus, hi.
Hi.
Ich wollte ganz kurz noch mal anschließen, bitte an die Frage vorhin, Kollege. Linksverteidiger oder auf der 6? Wo kommst du morgen?
I wanted to once again talk about your position tomorrow night. Will you play right back or will you play defensive midfield? We don't know the starting 11 at this stage, but I think I'm going to play right back. But we're not aware of the starting 11 at this stage.
Next is Rob Harris, please. Rob, you're logged in? No. Rob Harris, can you hear us? Dann switchen wir nochmal zu Florian Plettenberg von Sport 1.
Noch eine Frage, und zwar, man sieht ja immer mal wieder Bilder, wie du...
Another question from me. I apologize, we can't understand what you're saying. It's about motivation. I'm sorry, I didn't understand any of that. Says the player. We're going to try again. So you tend to bump your chest for good luck during the warm-up. Have you seen that in a film? How does that motivate you? Does that get you fired up for the game? No, that's just my pre-match routine, if you will, just to make sure that I'm really switched on in the zone at 100%, so that I can really wake myself up and say, okay, now this is when it really matters.
DPA.
Profi sind, schon viele große Trainer erlebt. Sie haben Pep Guardiola.
You've worked under a number of head coaches, Pep Guardiola, Jogi Löw, Jupp Heynckes, in your relatively short career thus far. But what stands out about Hansi Flick? He's been able to take the team to the Champions League final in 9 short months. He very quickly managed to get his point across to the team. He and his staff really appreciates and rates all of the playing squad and the playing staff, so he has a good ties, a good relationship with everyone. He also has a game plan that we have bought into, but ultimately the team's performances have been really top level. It's not just players within a system. He really looks at the human being behind the players. We, the players, can feel that, and the members of staff as well. Thank you very much.
Bis gleich. Ciao, danke.
We'll be back with the head coach.